What is up, everybody? Welcome to Birds of the Round Table. The Eagles lose. Tough, brutal game. This is our therapy session to kind of go over the nuts and bolts of everything we learned about that game and what it means moving forward. Not just the Super Bowl, but we're going to break down the offseason, the Eagles free agents, rank them top to bottom, who is most likely to come back, who is not likely, that and more. Guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment. This is kind of a sorrowed show. I'm not going to lie. I'm down, man. I couldn't even watch the Sixers last night. I'm just not over it yet. Bryce is in the house saying the top takeaway was the refs at the end of the game. We're going to get into that as well. Joining me, my man over there, Shane. What's going on, Shane?
Dibs, I know it'll shock you, but I, too, did not watch the Sixers last night.
My man. He's all football all the time. Speaking of all football all the time, my man Ryan Reese down there of Philly Sports Alliance. What's going on, man?
Just numb, man. I'm just numb. Honestly, I don't know if the true feelings have hit me. Honestly, I'm just sad, but numb. I can't say anymore.
Yeah. So the only thing that I could say was good was my score prediction was like literally 1 point away. I literally almost nailed that. But not the result. Not the result.
Same. I said 37-34 Eagles, so I was close.
We have a thing here. So if the Eagles lose, we change up hosts, and that's what we're gonna do here. I'm going to throw in the wheel spinner. Shane or Ryan will be hosting tonight's show. Good luck, guys.
And for the foreseeable future, there's not another game for a while.
There's not a game for a long time. For the
I know. So you're screwed. So if you
I don't know what our off-season content plan looks like, but this is a long-term hosting position to be filled.
We have RW Swope 87 in the house. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining. Eagles defense needs to stop depending on pass rush and putting pressure on the QB and sacks. That's the Jonathan Gannon way, man. It is what it is. We'll talk about that. Another comment. There is a ton to unpack, gentlemen. Absolutely. We're going to break it all down. Before we get started, let's quickly do our wheel spinner to see who is hosting tonight's show. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Oh,
big money, no whammy. Let's go.
All right, there it is, Ryan. Ryan Reese is our host.
I'm now the host for, 6 months? 7 months?
I'll do the ticker on the bottom, guys. Again, if you're watching us live, comment. Let us know your thoughts. RW Swift says, I think Debo nailed it when he said the Eagles D-line. And front for the Eagles are what makes the secondary guys Pro Bowlers interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that. Ryan, lead us off, man. First question's on the ticker.
All right. Well, again, we appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. As I know the whole Philadelphia area is saddened, and a small blurb in Oklahoma. But listen, we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to get it all out. And then we're going to move on, and we're going to focus on the offseason. There's a lot to do. We all know we have a lot of pending free agents. We got some draft picks. We got some cap space. So there's plenty to talk about throughout this offseason once we get all of our feelings out, So, all right. So the first question that we do have tonight is, what does Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl mean for the Eagles moving forward? Dibs, I'm going to start with you. What do you say?
I think that any of the doubters can shut the hell up. Before we went live, Shane was nailing it, and I share those sentiments so much. Is that you had arguably the best Jalen Hurts game of all time in the Super Bowl. I mean, talk about stepping up on the biggest stage imaginable, and the Eagles lost. It's disheartening. Jalen Hurts was outstanding. He ran 15 times for 70 yards, 3 touchdowns. That set a Super Bowl record for rushing yards in a game. He tied the most rushing touchdowns in the Super Bowl with Terrell Davis. Shout out to that dude for Denver, man. One of my favorite players of all time. He threw for 304 yards. He had a touchdown, 27 of 38 passing, accounted for 90% of the team's offense. And yeah, he had that fumble, man. But like, there were so many big moments in this one that he stepped up again and again. You talk about that rebound, that touchdown drive when they went into halftime with a 24-14 lead. You talk about when the Eagles were down 8 points with 9 minutes remaining, and he led the Eagles to a touchdown drive. That 45-yard completion to Devontae, that throw to Dallas Goedert on the sideline, that throw to Quez that was right on target, and my man just dropped, or didn't even, I don't even know what you would call that. Just, it was a terrible effort, as we've seen from Quez all year long. But no one should doubt Jalen Hurts anymore. And I was one of those guys. I was one of those guys before this season started, and he shut everyone up. Just so much credit to Jalen Hurts and his progress this year.
Yeah, agreed. Shane?
Yeah, I mean, it's deflating. What I was saying off air before we started is I wouldn't feel this deflated if Jalen Hurts hadn't played so well. If, it was a quarterback in his second year starting and he just missed a few throws, he made a couple key mistakes, he had a great season, but he came up short on the big stage, that would be one thing. Jalen Hurts played the best game of his career. He went toe-to-toe with and out-dueled Patrick Mahomes in this game. The fumble 6 is literally the only mistake he made in this game. And that fumble 6, that was negative 8.5 EPA. If you remove that, he had 22.6 EPA in this game. There's a phenomenal game. The Chiefs came into the game and said, we're not going to let you run the ball on us, and the Eagles could not run the ball on them. They said, we're going to make you beat us from the pocket, and Hurts said, okay, let's do it. Let's roll. And he played a phenomenal football game. And so, for people looking for the silver lining, like it's deflating because that was his best game, and you had 22 starters healthy in this game. Hurts will never be in a Super Bowl with a roster that's this good again. But the leap that he took this season and that he's going to continue to make, like, you feel absolutely great about paying this guy. And maybe, honestly, deep down, maybe you weren't sure about that after he came back after the Bears game and he strung together a couple games that didn't look that impressive. And so you start to think, was it a mirage? Is it injury? He stepped up on the biggest stage and he played that game. Like, you feel totally comfortable paying him going forward. And it's going to create some other deficiencies on the roster, but the offensive core is intact. You're bringing back Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. They're both locked up long-term. Dallas Goedert is locked up long-term. Your offensive line, I will never worry about as long as Jeff Stoutland is on the sideline. And so the Eagles' offense is good. And the adage that defense wins championships just isn't true. It's not. It's all about scoring points, and the Eagles are going to be able to do that. They're going to be able to compete as long as Hurts is there. So I've heard a lot of sentiment of people talking about, now they're going to have to pay Hurts, and, the rookie contract window is gone. And we love to talk about the rookie contract window, but the reality is that 8 out of the last 9 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks were not on a rookie contract. You want the guy. You want to pay the guy. You don't want the rookie quarterback window. You want to pay him the second contract because he's that good. Jalen Hurts is that good, and that makes me feel good going forward, although it definitely stings right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly kind of my thoughts too, is you saw him play on, again, the biggest stage, and you've seen this throughout his entire career in college. You've seen this, just throughout. The dude just has that mental focus, and it absolutely shows. And he balled out. And it's just unfortunate that the defense couldn't give him a few wins to get the victory, because he absolutely was the MVP. He broke multiple records throughout this Super Bowl, And honestly, yeah, you're right. This whole playoffs, it was all about running the ball. And, they weren't having that much success running the ball. So Hurts took it upon himself. Doesn't look like that shoulder bothered him at all because he was just dropping dimes. I mean, he would have had almost 350 if they would have, actually accurately, called that Devontae catch.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, it really does make the sting of this loss feel a little less in my eyes. Just knowing that without a shadow of a doubt, this is our guy. He is the future. He is gonna get paid. And listen, I know Howie will do the best for this franchise, and let's hope that we're not going to pay him like $1 billion here. So I think if we get this done before some of the other bigger names, I'll be more than happy moving forward. And like you said, we have such a great core that are locked up for a few years here. We just kind of got to get past this offseason, and I think we'll be fine moving forward. So,
Yep.
All right. So I did. I accidentally went out of turn. My mistake. I haven't hosted in forever. So give me a break here. And I'll go back to Shane. What's one of your top takeaways outside of Jalen Hurts, of course, as we just talked about him? But what's one of your top takeaways from this Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs?
Defense doesn't win championships. I mentioned it. That's dead, and it's been dead for a long time. To be honest, it sounds good, it looks good on T-shirts, but it's all about being able to score points in this league, and you have to be able to do that. You got to be able to keep up in shootouts because you're not going to lock down really good offenses. Now that aside, the Eagles' defense was a massive disappointment in this game, and there's a lot of things that went into it. The field was atrocious, and that killed the Eagles' pass rush. You guys have probably seen the clips on Twitter. I've watched some of the All-22. Like Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, every time they tried to bend around the edge, they were on the ground. When you cannot rush the passer, it makes offenses look really, really good. It makes corners and safeties look bad, but there's also an element to would Jonathan Gannon's approach have worked in this game if we could have rushed the passer? I don't know, and we're not going to know. And he's gone now, and that sucks that both coordinators are gone. But what I do know is that his Achilles heel in his career as a defensive coordinator was his unwillingness to get crazy with a game plan when it wasn't working. And he adjusts. The Eagles played a ton of man coverage in this game, and that's not something they normally do. They trusted their corners to win, and they didn't. James Bradbury got abused in this game. He was awful. But at a certain point, what was causing stress on the Eagles? It was when they were cover zero blitzing, when they were running these zone pressures and getting an unblocked defender against the Eagles' offensive line. Now, Jalen Hurts was making plays and making it not matter. Patrick Mahomes was on a bum ankle. Like, there's no excuse after you've given up back-to-back-to-back touchdown drives to not be dialing up some different things. You can't just hold out for we're eventually going to win one, because you're not, and you didn't, and it lost the game. And so I don't fault the defense entirely, which sounds crazy to say in a game you gave up 38, but I do fault the unwillingness to just cause chaos once everything hit the fan and it was obvious that your plan wasn't going to work. I would have liked to have seen some adjustments there that just never came. And so that's my biggest takeaway defensively.
Gotcha. Dibes?
I'll go to the offense because we have great comments from RW Swope talking about the defense. Shane, you crushed it on the defense. I want to talk about making mistakes. I want to talk about the offense. I'll talk about defense. First of all, the Eagles just made far too many mistakes. I mean, you talk about a team that they blew a 10-point lead in the second half. You had the Jalen Hurts fumble away a touchdown. Sirianni attempting a fourth down or punting on fourth down that led to a long punt return for the Chiefs. You talk about the James Bradbury holding penalty, which we'll be talking about all off season long. The pass rush was barely there, just like Shane said. But like the mistake I keep going back to over and over and over again when I watch the highlights the next day was that Sirianni decision to punt on 4th and 3, and that continues kind of make me shake my head, especially when it was widely known that they were carving up the Eagles defense and getting whatever they wanted. That decision made no sense. The defense was getting outclassed, and that led to the Kadarius Toney 65-yard return to the Eagles 5-yard line. And I think the other MVP goes to, I just want to real briefly, Andy Reid and the Chiefs O-line. I never thought that was going to be that much of an advantage in this game. I got that dead wrong. I think the Chiefs' game plan, to use a lot of motion, to create mismatches, to create advantages in the passing game, it was a masterclass. Andy Reid was playing chess while Gannon was playing checkers, man. And the Eagles had no answer for Travis Kelce many different times. They lined him up outside. They motioned him inside. They had jet motion packages where the Eagles were off balance. They got exposed, Marcus Epps, just repeatedly. And you look at kind of the Super Bowl coming down to red zone offense. The Eagles' red zone offense was one of the best in the league. But the Chiefs were just better. They were 4 or 5 in the red zone, and the Eagles were 3 of 5 on offense. And that little bit made a difference. And when Jonathan Gannon is just playing or coaching that poorly, the Eagles' offense had to be perfect, and they weren't. They just weren't perfect. They just came up that much short. And the old narrative comes down to Gannon against the great quarterbacks, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon. Mahomes' combined EPA per dropback against the Eagles in 2 career games, 0.58. That's his best mark against any team in the league. And Gannon was just inept, and it just sucks, man. Like I said, it's disheartening given everything we saw from the Eagles offense and how well they played. But at the end of the day, mistakes killed them. I'm not going the ref route. We're going to touch on the refs. And it was just Andy Reid playing chess while Jonathan Gannon was playing checkers.
Yeah, I mean, well said. Yeah, to kind of add on to what you said, I was a little surprised that Sirianni wasn't more aggressive in some of those moments. Kicking a field goal instead of going for it again, punting on that 4th and 3. Like you said it perfectly. The Chiefs' offense were carving up the Eagles' defense, so you had to be extra aggressive. And he just, for whatever reason, in a couple of those moments, he wasn't. He got a little timid, and that, unfortunately, again, we'll never know, but that potentially could have cost them. Again, if you get 7 instead of 3, it's a different ball game. If you go for it, you get that first down instead of punting, it's a different ball game. So, while you're right, the Eagles offense was not perfect, they definitely still played an amazing game. Hurts was amazing. The wide receivers are amazing. Goddard made so many clutch catches. I mean, those 3, weapons-wise, I am so happy that we are going to have them for a few more years here locked up. So, and I'm also one of my takeaways is get Quez Watkins off this team.
Yeah. Let's go to some comments real quick. Paul says, areas for Eagles to improve, upgrade the running back, add a true slot receiver, add more physical cornerbacks, and add a more athletic outside linebacker over Kaiser White, and hire a new special teams coach. What was the play on 3rd down before the last punt? I don't remember that. Shane, do you remember what the play was?
Yeah, it was like 3rd and 3, and the Eagles ran. They ran a play action with like the tight end pulling across behind the formation to block like split zone, and AJ Brown is wide open over the middle of the field. The problem is that the slot corner comes and he's untouched. He wasn't accounted for in the protection, and there was a few of those, to be honest, where the protection was wrong up front. 2 guys blocked one person and somebody came untouched, and a couple times Jalen Hurts just made it work because mobile quarterbacks are a cheat code. this time he made it work too. He got outside the pocket, but he wasn't able to throw the ball to a wide open A.J. Brown. And then he tried a tough throw, to the sideline to Devonta Smith. It was incomplete. And then obviously the punt, which was kind of unbelievable. He went for it against the 49ers in a very similar situation. That was 4th and 1, so they could sneak, but they had gone on a 4th and 5 already in this game. It felt like at the time, it just felt like a time you can't do that. You got to go for it. And I thought Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen did a really good job in this game. I thought they made one mistake, and that mistake that cost them the game. There's no excuse to punt the football there.
Yeah. William says, I love the entire season with the exception of one game, the effort. I'm excited for next season, but now Jalen has yet another offensive coordinator. We won't know his full potential for 2 years. I disagree with that. I think the blueprint is pretty thick in terms of how to get the most out of Jalen Hurts for sure.
His offensive coordinator is about to be Brian Johnson, who's been his QB coach. So not much is changing in the offense, I don't think.
Yeah, we're hearing that name a lot. RW Swope says, if this was Doug Peterson coaching, the Birds would have won. He was mentored by Andy Reid. Paul says, would you guys like Jim Leonard as the next defensive coordinator? Leonard is a long-time defensive coordinator coach for the University of Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin pumps out a lot of really good defensive players. Any thoughts on that? I haven't really gone down that avenue yet, so I can't really comment on Jim Leonard.
No, I keep hearing Denard as the
Denard
lead,
Wilson.
Yeah, the lead guy for DC. So, but yeah, I haven't dove down that one either. So,
yep, our resident Cowboys fans in the house. Thanks, man. We're hurting, man.
Yeah.
All
right. So let's talk about the refs for a sec. Let's just get it out. And then we'll move past it. I'm never one to put blame on refs. I don't like to use it as an excuse, but we do have to talk about it. Obviously the Bradbury call. There were some other ones that we'll talk about, but let's just say on a scale, 1 to 10, 10 being 100% their fault. How much do you blame the refs for this Eagles loss, if we're going to allow ourselves? Dibes, you go first. Sorry.
I'm not doing it. I'll give it a 2. A lot of people are complaining on, at least on my Twitter timeline, but for me, I'm not going to go there because all I did was make fun of Niners fans and everyone complaining and things like that. The Eagles made too many mistakes. Again, if Isaac Seumalo doesn't have that false start, we're talking about a completely different result. That false start led to the fumble from Jalen Hurts. That was such a huge swing in the game. And they scored. There's no false start there. Who knows? The Eagles score again, and it's probably still going to be a game that comes down to the wire, but that definitely changes. So for me, it's a 2.
Okay. Shane, what about you, pal?
And there's so many plays that go into losing a football game. So many mistakes along the way, so many margins that you could have. But at the end of the day, what did we all say all week leading up to this game? It's probably going to be a one-possession game, and it's going to come down to who has the ball last. And so when a flag that should not have been a flag changes who gets the ball last, that's important. That's huge. Like, would the Eagles have won if they got the ball down 3 with a minute and a half left? I don't know. As Eagles fan aside, as a football fan, I feel robbed that we didn't get that opportunity. We didn't get to see that. Like, it's just such a deflating way for a game to end. I don't think you throw that flag there. I think it's Bradbury said he held him. Bradbury's not a loser like all the 49ers fans. That's not the culture. That's not how the Eagles conduct themselves. I would have expected nothing different. he's going to say that. But you have Greg Olson, an offensive player, on the broadcast saying you cannot throw that flag. And he has a bias towards offense, not defense. You've got other offensive players in the league right now on Twitter as it's happening saying you can't throw that flag. It was a weak call, and it changed the game. And the Eagles still are very at fault for losing this game. But it sucks that that's the way that it ended. I would have liked for them to get that shot. So, I mean, I'm still not going to put it above like a 2 or a 3 because the Eagles had plenty of chances. But the whole narrative of there's a whole lot of plays in the game, that's true. But we all said all week it comes down to who has the ball last.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I'm right there, 2 or 3. Agreed. You don't call that there, and somebody explained it. I forget who it was on Twitter that kind of broke it down a little bit. And Bradbury and other defensive players, they read how the refs call certain things throughout the game. And again, based on kind of previous plays, that's probably why Bradbury knew he could probably get away with a little bit of this, that, and the other. So I think, again, based on that, that's probably why Bradbury was where he was. And, again, felt comfortable that he was able to at least kind of get a hand on, maybe not hold, whatever, but still, ref shouldn't have thrown it there. I would have felt a lot better had the Eagles had the chance, were able to get the ball back, drive, and, say it doesn't end in any points and they lose the game that way. I would have felt a lot better about it. You know what I mean? I still would have been pissed. I still would be numb right now, but yeah, I don't know.
I feel a lot about it like I did the Chiefs-Bills game last year where it went to overtime and Josh Allen never got to touch the ball. Like the last time Jalen Hurts touched the ball, he threw a beautiful pass downfield to Devontae Smith. He powered through 4 guys for a 2-point conversion and he never touched it again.
Yep,
so,
exactly.
This comment here from Paul about the run and going by Gainwell instead of going down, instead of lunging for the first that led to the 3rd and short and then the false start, that whole thing.
Yeah.
That all goes back to the field. The field, he slipped. He wasn't just going down. Like he tried to cut it up and put the shoulder down and he just went down. So I do agree with the comment that Quentin said that the bigger issue, I had a much bigger issue with the slippery field and the refs. I thought by and large they were fine. Like the Devontae Smith catch that was overturned, I said before that it came out, I tweeted it and I said that they were going to overturn. Like I didn't think that was a catch, but the way the rules say, like they can't look at that on the field and say we're 100% sure that wasn't a catch after watching the replay because you couldn't. There was ambiguity there. I didn't think it should have been overturned. I did think it was probably incomplete. I thought they got the Goddard one right. They got some tough calls right.
Sure.
It's just that one, and I hate that it's what we're talking about. And it's what we ended the Chiefs-Bengals game talking about. The push on Patrick Mahomes out of bounds, and it probably is roughing the passer, and it sucks because that's not how you want to end that game. And it's the same thing here. Whether or not it was a hold, it sucks that that's how the game ended. And I thought it was ticky-tack, but even if you're just an unbiased fan, like you hate to see that instead of, and then killing clock for a field goal. And for me, that's what's so deflated. It was an instant classic game.
Yeah,
it
was
the end is kind of tainted. We were
there were many people.
Ending.
Yeah, there were many people that were right down the middle, unbiased fans of the game. Plenty of celebrities out there and whatnot that were like, how are you going to call that when you have such an amazing back and forth game? Offensively going back and forth, not to at least end it on a potential, game tying or game winning drive. You ended it with Jerick McKinnon who, has to kneel down at the 2 and then they milk the clock and kick a field goal. Like that's kind of a boring ending, honestly. A general football fan. You want to see somebody fighting at the end and trying to score. That's how a game should end personally. But,
real quick, beef pot pie. It was fantastic.
Nice.
My man knows that I love to cook, so
I'm not gonna lie, I did not know what that comment meant. So I'm glad that you said that because I was trying to figure it out.
Love a good pot pie.
All right. Hopefully the echo is gone. Sorry, guys, if there was.
Oh no, yeah, everything sounds great now. So.
All right, but yeah, I agree. Like, because like that had potential probably to be the greatest Super Bowl of all time. I don't know if I missed that, but like it was this close for being the greatest Super Bowl ever. If the Eagles had what was the time on that? Like a minute and a half or something? I don't know.
It would have been basically a minute and a half, and I think one timeout.
Yeah. Oh God,
that would have been plenty of time to at least get into field goal range.
Oh, Eagles were scoring there, 100%, no question.
So. Yeah. Whatever. Listen, we said our piece about the refs. It wasn't perfect, but we can't blame them. We can't call them for the loss. The Eagles had plenty of opportunity to overcome bad referee games, and that's the way I'll always feel about it, no matter how egregious the refs are or how terrible, how many calls they make. So,
how about A.J. Brown calling out Juju Smith-Schuster?
If you have not seen that, go to Twitter. Look up Juju. Juju did like this, trying to be cute with like a Valentine's Day card of like James Bradbury saying something about like, oh, I'll always hold you close or something, And he AJ Brown, real respectful, was like, hey, listen, congratulations, you guys won. You were the better team, blah, 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 blah. But listen here, TikTok boy. And just went off on him for a minute or two. It was great.
Mr. Rudy Poo coming in with the $5 donation. Thank you so much, Rudy Poo. Why was George Toma, a.k.a. the Kansas City groundskeeper, allowed to do Super Bowl 57? He even received a ring for the 2019 Super Bowl. This is unacceptable. I did not see this. I've been basically off the grid since the Eagles game.
Right.
Has there been any talk about this?
I didn't know he was connected to Kansas City at all. I just heard like an interview with him prior to the game of him like explaining stuff. Yeah, right.
I know that it was a big news story all over Oklahoma in the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl that the grass, it was developed at Oklahoma State. And so it was like all over the news here, and everybody was like, yeah, go Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma.
And then, that aged well.
Way to go, Shane. Thanks, pal.
Quentin says Eagles fans
should sue the league.
Quentin says Eagles fans should sue the league for poor field conditions. We was robbed.
Yeah.
And, 49ers fans saying we won't make the playoffs. I'm so done with Niners fans and players. We do play the Niners in Philadelphia next season, man. That's going to be nuts. That's going to be
that game.
All right. But anyway, let's roll on.
All right. So let's run through a couple of these. All right. So taking the season as a whole, what do we think is the biggest lesson we have learned from the 2022 Eagles? Shane, I'll start with you once again.
Man, I've been trying to think of an answer for this question ever since it got sent out. There's so many different ways you go. I mean, I'm just going to say the biggest lesson I learned from them is just the evaluation of Jalen Hurts, man. And we've talked about him some already, but he's the real deal. Like I entered the year saying I thought there was about a 60% chance that the Eagles would have a new quarterback as their starter next year. And that's obviously not true. And I figured that out, fairly early on in the season. I was like, he's going to be the guy. But it's gone from like, he's a quarterback. I went from then, like, is he a quarterback you can win with on a second contract? Is he good enough to elevate that roster? To now, like, I firmly believe he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And not just like he had a top 5 season, he had a top 2 season this year, but like I firmly expect him to be in that top 5 conversation moving forward. And it's unbelievable to me, the throws that he was making from the pocket, on the run. I'm just so impressed. The one throw that he fit into Dallas Goedert, on I think it was like a 3rd and 13. Yeah. As I was watching that, at the snap, I could tell that corner at the bottom of the screen opened up in a cloud technique. And so when Hurts throws that corner route, I was like freaking out because like I know I can't see him because they disappear on broadcast, but I was freaking out because I knew there was a cloud defender that sunk under that corner route, and then it's just like inches over his fingers. Just incredible stuff. So as long as Jalen Hurts is here, and people have told me, you thought the same thing after 2017. I can tell you with 100% certainty that there is no circumstance that can come up that's going to make Jalen Hurts just implode the way that we saw Carson Wentz. It's not going to, he could get hurt and that'd suck. Mobile quarterbacks can get hurt, take hits, whatever. Mentally, he's the most mentally strong player I've ever seen in my life. And so the leadership's there, everything's there. And I would follow that guy off the edge of a cliff. So I've learned a ton about Hurts this season, and I'm really excited he's the quarterback for the next 10 years.
Yeah. I'm going to just piggyback off of that. And he's that guy, man. Jalen Hurts is going to win a Super Bowl. He's going to win a Super Bowl for Philadelphia. If the Eagles play their cards right in this draft, in this free agency, I really think they have a really good chance, and it's got to start with defense. I think the Eagles will absolutely retool, and we could be watching a very different defense next year that possibly takes a step or two back. First off, they got to nail the defensive coordinator hiring. They got to kind of pull those strings really quickly. And if they play their cards right, Jalen Hurts and that Eagles championship window is absolutely wide open. That's my take. Is Jalen Hurts, like Shane said, is absolutely for real. He kind of took that like Tyrese Maxey level jump. I'm not comparing the two, but now it's more of a conversation of is that the best we're going to get in certain areas? And will he fall back down to earth just a little bit? Because in so many different areas, he was elite. Whether that was, there's so much. We could do an entire show on all the little things that he progressed in. But at the end of the day, just like Shane said, Jalen Hurts is the real deal. It's a matter of when for the Birds.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's definitely something we coming into the season was very hesitant about, is to give him the keys, and we needed to see a lot of things. And man, he came right out the gate and just absolutely told us to hold his beer and said, "I got this." And lesson learned. Not going to doubt Jalen Hurts again, that's for sure. But this Sirianni Hurts combo could be a great combo in Eagles history for years to come. I really like what Sirianni did this year himself as far as improving. Still, not perfect, but got definitely a lot better in my eyes. And again, I just love the. I don't know, like he's just growing on me. I mean, man, when he first came in, again, an awful press conference and the flowers and the this and that, and it was a bit of a joke, but man, I don't know. He's really growing on me.
You talk about like this Eagles offense, like the Eagles defense was one that broke so many amazing records. I think the future is the Eagles offense. You look at kind of the quartet of Hurts, 24 years old. Devontae Smith, 24 years old. A.J. Brown, 25 years old. Dallas Goedert, 28 years old. Like, this is going to be a top-of-the-league offense for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's and, again, if we can continue this offensive line dominance too, add it to that and just plug and play whatever running back we end up, because it looks like Sanders is going to be back. But anyway, that's, down the line. All right. So let's talk a little about the offseason here. What do we think right now, before we get into free agency and draft and all that fun stuff? What do we think right now is the biggest position of need for the Eagles heading into this offseason? Shane, Dives, I'll start with you.
I would like to see them talking between what they need and what the strengths of the draft. I would love for them to bring in one of the solid names at cornerback. I think the depth at cornerback is extremely good. I think James Bradbury's, and we're going to get into free agents really quick very soon, but I think James Bradbury is gone. And I think adding a cornerback to get in there and learn as fast as possible under D. Slay would be absolutely smart. I look at running back. I love Miles Sanders. I thought he had it. I take that back. I'm not the biggest Miles Sanders fan. I don't know why.
Why did you say that?
I was impressed overall by this season, but there's definitely going to be an addition there at running back. Sanders is gone. So running back 2, slot receiver, I think is an underrated need for this Eagles team. Quez, with all the wins and success stories the Eagles had this year, Quez was not one of them. And that, again, reared its ugly head in the Super Bowl from that drop. You look at interior defensive line could be a huge need with some of the guys and free agents coming there. So that those are the ones I'm looking at.
Shay, what about you, bud?
Ooh, I like this one. Rudy Poo, love that call.
Yeah. I mean, wide receiver 3 has to be upgraded. If we're talking about your biggest needs is in the things you're going to go spend top capital on. You're not going to draft that wide receiver 3 at number 10 overall, but that's a big upgrade they need. They need cornerback help. Chauncey Gardner, not Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Avonte Maddox is there. He's going to be there long term. Darius Slay's getting older. James Bradbury had his worst games of the year down the stretch and is probably going to walk. So they definitely need cornerback help. I'm going to say something that is a little off-brand and maybe a little crazy, but it's this comment right here. Their biggest need's a linebacker. They need a do-it-all linebacker, a Roquan Smith type of guy that you can put in the middle of your defense and you can blitz him. You can cover with him. You can do all of the things that the Chiefs were doing. You can do all the things that the Ravens are able to do defensively, where you're disguising your coverages, you're bringing pressure without it being these all-out blitzes that, the Giants run with Wink Martindale and things like that. That's what you need. That's what the Chiefs got you with. That's what you need. And so, again, is that what they're going to spend the number 10 pick on? Absolutely not. They need that. They need a playmaking linebacker. And I know you've got Nakobe Dean. That's great. That's one guy that hasn't really played much. Kazir White's gone. I would not pay TJ Edwards much money. TJ Edwards got exposed in this game, by the way. He looked awful routinely. Yep. What's he supposed to be good at? Stopping the run. Routinely attacked the wrong gaps. And so they need somebody that can do it all over the middle of the field. And so I think that's a huge underrated need for them.
I like the comment by Mr. Rudy Poo on Trenton Simpson. Without a doubt, I think the best linebacker in this class, and he could be there at number 31 for the Eagles. Paul says Eagles need to replace 6 to 7 defensive players, 3 defensive linemen, a linebacker, 2 defensive backs, and a safety.
The Eagles in the Super Bowl had 12 defensive players play over 15 snaps. 8 of them are free agents now.
Oh wow! Yeah, it's gonna be it's quite the offseason, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Listen, I couldn't agree more. I personally think linebacker it has to be up there. I fully agree about Kaiser White being gone. I do not want to pay Edwards all that much money. And Dean, listen, you have Dean at this point. I just kind of consider him, a little extra, whipped cream on top. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not counting on him. I hope he progresses. I hope he turns into the guy that I hope he is. And if that happens, fantastic. But we still need to figure out linebacker. So I'm going to say linebacker for right now.
All right. I'm gonna host the free agency piece because it's just a lot easier.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Rudy Poo says Reed will fill in for Epps. I like that. Sorry, Ryan. All right, let's roll in, guys. let's roll on. We're going to talk about our top free agents. Are they most likely to return to the Eagles? Is it a toss-up or is it less likely? We're going to go through all the top ones, and we're going to kind of come to an agreement here. Guys, if you're watching us live, we're going to post this picture as well. So let us know your thoughts on this one. Let's start off the bat. Let's stick with offense. Jason Kelce. Does Jason Kelce return to the Eagles? Realistically. Shane.
I think so. I think he's going to. He's never going somewhere else. If he wants to come back, he's going to be an Eagle. I thought it sounded like after the game and stuff, I thought he sounded like a guy that was probably coming back. So right now, I would say Jason Kelce goes in that most likely to return spot.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, I 100% agree. Listen, I think it's a thing that we do every year. It seems like for the last 10 years about Jason Kelce, whether or not he's going to retire. But yeah, I don't know. Something tells me, man, you lose in the Super Bowl. That's not how he wants to go out. And he wants to give it another shot to try and get back, win it, and then ride off into the sunset. So he's coming back.
All right, let's roll on to Miles Sanders, arguably the biggest domino of the 2023 free agency class. Had a really good year, over 1,200 yards, rushing yards, double-digit touchdowns. I think Sportrack has him around $7 million a year. Does Miles Sanders come back, Ryan?
No. Plain and simple, listen, he played well above what we all expected, especially when we did our predictions. I don't think any of us had him getting over 1,000 yards. And, he did a fantastic job this year. Did not, coming off a year with 0 touchdowns to get double-digit touchdowns, he balled out and he was a great part of this run game. But I don't think any running back is worth $7, $8, $9 million. I think when you look at the teams that spend that much money on the running back position, they generally aren't a very good overall team, and they don't have a very good offense. So let's find a replacement in the draft. Gainwell will be fine for a year if we have to go that route. I'm not paying him.
Shane, agree?
Agreed. I think Miles would love to come back to Philadelphia. I don't think Philadelphia is going to pay him.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll on to Isaac Seumalo. Shane.
I don't think he's coming back. I think he goes in the less likely. Spotrac has his market value at about $12 million. I don't know if it's that high. Maybe it is. Offensive line play around the league's not great, and he's been really good for the Eagles. At the end of the day, you can't pay everybody, and he's not one of their premier pieces, and you feel good about Jeff Stoutland developing guys. I think that Cam Jurgens might be your right guard next year, assuming Jason Kelce comes back. So Seumalo walks.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. We'll roll on here to Andre Dillard, 2019 first-round pick. Thoughts, Ryan?
But listen, I personally think that he is a good backup for us to have, but I can completely understand Andre Dillard trying to get out there and trying to get a starting job. I mean, he still has, the first-round pedigree. And listen, he probably still has a little bit of that to maybe pull himself a starting job for a desperate team. So I just think it's probably not going to match up, and it's less likely to be re-signed here.
Shane?
Agreed. He's not going to come back. I think he's probably going to get a shot to go start somewhere, and he's never going to get that shot here in Philadelphia. So Dillard's gone.
All right. Paul says Dillard is a goner. Also think Isaac is a goner. Driscoll can step in at right guard. Let's go on to the next one. Gardner Minshew. Shane.
Gone. He was gone the second that Saints game ended.
And same thing for with Dillard applies to Minshew. Somebody probably will pay him to start. Maybe.
He's not your ideal backup quarterback anyways. You need a guy that's mobile. If so much of your game is going to be built on the RPO zone read game, you got to have a backup that can do that, and he can't.
True.
So go take a flyer on a guy on day 3 that's fast.
Yeah. Samuel says no Gannon slander. He got us to the Super Bowl. He was also arguably the biggest reason they lost. And I agree, Samuel, that he takes a lot of unfair criticism. I thought he had an overall very good season, but let's not pretend like he wasn't a part of the problem, and he was arguably the biggest. So, Zach Pascal.
Out of here.
Shane
He's
agrees.
back.
Yeah?
He's back. I don't think it's going to take much. He was kind of a priority signing for Sirianni. He's good. He's a guy who does things right. I mean, I feel like he's kind of an ideal wide receiver 4. He can block a little bit. Doesn't make a lot of big mistakes. I mean, he whiffed on a couple of run blocks in the Super Bowl, which was not ideal, but I could see him being back. Wide receiver 4, why not?
All right, Shane.
Toss up.
Yeah, I'll put him in a toss up. We'll keep it even. Rudy Poo says Pascal missed some blocks in the Super Bowl. All right, rolling on next to defense. Let's talk about Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox, is he done as an Eagle, Shane?
I would lean that direction. I don't think for what he gave you this year that you bring him back. I think there's other guys you want to prioritize. So the next guy we're going to talk about, chief among them, because I would do everything I could to keep Javon Hargrave in the building. You absolutely can't keep both. I'll say Fletch is a toss-up because you know how Howie is with returning players and stuff, and he's admitted that. But I do think it's more likely Fletch is gone next year.
Ryan?
Yeah, I'm going to throw him in the toss-up category. I agree, Shane. It's most likely he's going to be gone. Oh boy, what is going on with the screen there?
Some quick editing as I do this.
But yeah, I think I honestly think it's gonna come down to money.
Yeah.
Again, if you can get him, listen, we gave him a lot of money. A lot more money than he deserved. So listen, if Howie goes, listen, I paid you. You give some of that money back and you can stay.
I love this comment. Cox has gone like Theon Greyjoy.
That's messed up.
My God. Big Game of Thrones fan here. I love the comment. Cox, Javon Hargrave, Shane.
Toss up. I think it depends on what he wants. The Bears should be throwing a ton of money at Javon Hargrave.
Yeah.
You never want to. I mean, if we're somebody will pay him more than the Eagles can. I do think there's something to be said for him having the best year of his career here, liking the culture and those things. I'll say toss up. I think the Eagles will try to keep him. I just don't know that they're going to be able to do it.
I think I named the Bears I remember talking about Hargrave and the Bears that week. Ryan.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with everything Shane said. We're definitely not going to be able to pay him the most. It's really going to come down to, and a lot of these free agents is the culture that we've established. It's this team. And listen, I would love to have Hargrave back because, again, I think he does a lot of things that, we may not talk about a lot. And especially with Jordan Davis there, again, having another vet like that to kind of guide him, especially if somebody like Cox is gone. But I'll throw him in the toss-up and just hope that we're able to make things work.
Yeah. That one comment. If Hargrave signs for $16 million a year, it'll absolutely be in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's making more than he's probably getting 20.
Yeah, he goes open market. He's getting 20 plus from the
I think he's
Bears.
getting 20. Yep.
Agreed.
All right, let's roll on to Robert Quinn. Ryan.
Come on, do we even need to talk about this? This dude is gonna help us by not being on this team next year, but with draft compensation. So I don't want to see him on this team. What did he even do? He didn't do anything. Get out of here. You're done.
All right. We're just Shane, do you have anything to add to that? We'll just move on.
He is most likely to not be on this team next year.
Yeah, he is the most likely not.
All right. Let's roll on to Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham, thoughts?
I think this is another toss-up. I think Brandon more than Cox will do what might be necessary to stay on this team. I think Brandon really does love Philly, and he's done so much for this team, for this community. So I think if it's one of those situations where we can kind of make the money work, and maybe not give him too much, hopefully not like a Fletcher Cox deal like last year. But yeah, man, give him a couple of mils, say, hey, listen, end your career in Philly. This is where you belong.
RW Swope says Graham will resign or retire.
Didn't he have the quote where he said he wanted to play 2 more years and that he hoped it was in Philly?
Yeah.
So I think he's going to keep playing, and I really hope the Eagles bring him back. I mean, he had the best year of his career. You don't want to pay top dollar for the guy at this age. I don't think he wants to leave Philly. I don't think you want him to leave Philly. You need him in that rotation. I would nudge him more towards the most likely than the toss-up. I think the Eagles are going to work something out.
I hope so. I'm fine with that.
All right. Well, should we keep him at toss-up or what?
Can you put him halfway between toss-up
Yeah,
and most likely?
I'm like halfway in there.
We'll do that.
There we go. Unless that's messing up your thing.
I'm good. Rudy Poo says BG will take a discount. We've got Cowboys fans in the chat. It's killing me. All right, let's roll on to James Bradbury. Signed a 1-year, $7.5 million contract last spring. Wants to get paid. There's some rumors that he's going to want to return to the Giants. Shane, where's James Bradbury?
Why would he want to go back to the Giants?
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, that's what he said, or that's what the report was.
Yeah, that'd be weird. I think he's more likely to be on Philadelphia than the Giants, but I don't think either of those is going to happen. So less likely. He's going to be the top corner on the market. He's probably going to get 18-ish million.
Maybe
cornerbacks. 20. The league is cornerback starved. So Bradbury, obviously, you never know if a guy's just going to decide he likes where he's at and he'll play for less. But I'm not going to put that motivation on anybody. So I say he's gone.
Yeah, agreed. There's no way we're paying him $18 to $20 million. That's for damn sure.
Yep. RW Swope says bye Bradbury. He thinks he's going to the Saints.
Ugh,
going to the Falcons or the Titans.
Fine with either of those.
Yeah. All right. So many Cowboys fans in the chat right now. All right, let's go to Marcus Epps.
Hey,
Marcus Epps.
Is the closest they're going to get to a Super Bowl show, so I respect that.
That's very true.
The last time they had a Super Bowl show, the internet didn't exist, so they haven't ever got to experience this.
It's true. Very true.
Love it. Marcus Epps. Thoughts on Marcus Epps?
I just don't see it. I don't see him coming back. Yeah, I think it's less likely personally, but I'd be okay if you said toss up, but I just don't see it.
I think it's less likely. I don't think they're going to let both safeties walk. I don't think they'll keep both safeties, and it's already been reported they're going to make a strong push to keep Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So I think Epps will probably walk, and Reed Blankenship is basically a year younger version of Epps. Like last year, we were on these shows saying, "Hey, Epps kind of flashed as a safety 3. He might be somebody to watch." And now you're saying the same thing about Reed Blankenship. So I think they probably slide Reed Blankenship in there next year.
So, Ryan, what did you say? Did you say toss-up?
No, I said initially less likely, but if Shane had said toss-up, I would have been fine with it.
All right, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Most likely. He has to be your top priority, personally. I mean, he is young, he's talented, he fills such a good need for you. I just, and like Shane said, it seems like they feel the same way. They're going to make them the top priority. I would love for him to stay in Philadelphia for years and years to come.
All right, Shane?
Yeah, same. Most likely, I think they're going to bring him back. I think he brings a lot to the defense. I don't know what it's going to cost, and that's going to be the sticking point because he wanted to be a safety, so he got paid like a safety instead of a slot corner. I don't know if he's going to be worth what they pay him, but I do think they are going to pay him and bring him back.
Yeah.
Paul thinks Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will be back. So does Rudy Poo. Let's go on to our next guy, and that is Kaiser White. Ryan.
Hell no. He showed flashes in many games that he was a good, linebacker, but I just think his inconsistency for me, the fact that we signed him to a 1-year deal, he's probably going to want a little bit more than what he made last year. And listen, you have Dean. I'd rather see Dean out there than White personally, regardless of what you do with some of, with Edwards or what have you. But yeah, I don't want to see him back personally. I'd say less likely.
Shane?
Yeah, bye, Felicia.
Nice.
A lot of people are in agreement. Kaiser is gone. Let's keep it to linebacker, and that is TJ Edwards.
Toss-up.
Yeah.
I'll say he's a toss-up. I don't think the Eagles want to totally turn over their linebackers. I think his agent's going to be able to play his tackle numbers into a bigger contract than the Eagles want to give him, though. And to be honest, he's not worth it. Like, I had Eagles people trying to tell me back in 49ers week, like the Eagles linebackers were comparable with the 49ers and that TJ Edwards is like a top 5 linebacker in the league. And he's just not. Like, he's fine. He's an average player, better against the run, worse against the pass, but he's just competent, and I don't want to pay for competency. I'd rather go draft a day 2 guy and plug him in.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, no, I'm going to say toss up. I could easily see him coming back, especially if you plan on not signing White. You'll have, Edwards, you'll have Dean, and then hopefully, a rookie or two to kind of build up. But, yeah, listen, I'm good either way. I think considering the history of us and our linebackers, Edwards is a lot better than the slop we've been given. So I'm okay with giving him a little bit of money, but not too much.
All right. We've got some people saying that Edwards should be gone. Edwards is Alex Singleton too. No, he's not.
That hurts.
He's not. Oh man.
What's next? I'm gonna say he's the next White Lightning.
My goodness. I don't think he's that bad. He had some great moments this season. All right, Sue. Any thoughts on Sue?
I'm gonna lop Sue and Joseph together. I think it's very unlikely that they both come back. Either one, honestly. Yeah, listen, if you want to give one of them a vet minimum, sure, why not? But for whatever reason, there was a reason why in the middle of the season, the both of them were just sitting on their couches. They basically were retired but hadn't officially announced it. So I got to say both of them are less likely in my eyes.
All right, so you're saying Sue and Joseph are less likely. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I agree. Jordan Davis has to take over that entire role next year, or it was a tremendous waste of a first-round pick. So I don't think you're going to bring them back. I think if you're concerned about depth, you probably can go get a guy similar to them on the street in free agency if Davis gets hurt or something again. So I think both of them are probably gone. Maybe one, like Ryan said, comes back on a vet minimum if they want to, play 12 snaps a week, practice once a week, and maybe have a shot at a ring.
Right.
Whatever, that's fine, but they won't be impact players.
Man, all right. That's it.
That less likely is getting a little full there, isn't it?
So we're going to wrap up the show with what did we learn, and holy cow, the Eagles are going to have a lot of turnover this offseason. That was the point of this exercise, and I think we pretty much accomplished that.
Yeah, we definitely see that. We have a lot of friggin' free agents pending. That's for sure. And Yeah, it doesn't look like. Well, even if we get all the toss-ups and the most likelies, it doesn't look like we're signing half of them. So,
Yeah, and one of our most likely could easily retire tomorrow.
right, exactly.
Although, I mean, that changes things too if you're not trying to bring Kelsey back and a lot of those things. But there's a lot of turnover every year too. It's not just this year. You think back to last year, right? You had Joe Flacco, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, Zach Ertz, Brandon Brooks.
Yeah.
I was about to say Derek Barnett. I guess he's technically on this team.
Right.
Alex Singleton, Eric Wilson, Davion Taylor, Anthony Harris, Rodney McLeod, Steven Nelson. Like, those are all guys that were starters or played significant snaps a year ago. So I think people under-realize sometimes how much turnover happens in an off season, and that's part of what makes the end of a season so sad. Is it's the last time that team will be together. So there's going to be a lot of change, but pick number 10. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, Dives, can you bring up Nick Sirianni owns Shanahan? His whatchamacallit, his comment there. He said the last 17 Super Bowl losers haven't returned since 17-year drought. That is untrue. The Patriots did it after they lost to us. So it's only been 5 years. Just throwing that out there. Just wanted to make sure I corrected the people.
All right. Let's wrap it up, guys. We're already over an hour into this thing. Let's just do final thoughts, plugs. Who wants to go first? Ryan, you go first.
Sure, why not? I'll go first. Final thoughts. Listen, this was, again, a magical run, a magical season, something that we did not see coming, as evident by our many, many shows in the preseason. It's all on tape. So the fact that we got to enjoy what we were able to enjoy, I think, is something that us as fans, I feel like, again, it's not the greatest thing to say at this point, but I think that's the kind of thing that you have to think about in moments like these when you're sad and numb and depressed that we lost the Super Bowl. We were in the Super Bowl. We were in the Super Bowl. Like, 30 other teams can't say that, at least. And listen, every year 31 teams go home losers, but I'm just saying we should be happy with what we got this year. A lot better than we expected. And listen, the future is bright. We have our quarterback. We know we have our quarterback. We have a young core. Our offense is insane. And listen, it's going to be a fun offseason. Lots of moving parts. So strap in, get ready, because we're going to be doing this every week, breaking it down, doing free agency, doing the draft. So let's do it together. As far as what I got going, same old thing at the Philly Sports Alliance. We do appreciate everybody, all the love and the support. Make sure you follow us on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook, especially if you turn on your automatic notifications, you'll get all of the Philly Sports Alliance shows, but you'll also get all of the Painted Line shows that stream live on our Facebook. And when you put those notifications on, you know about it right away. So you can hop right in and join us and have a good time. So, and other than that, make sure you're following these guys. Make sure you're following everybody that we have coming through here, because honestly, without you guys, and especially the people on YouTube here, which clearly have been flooding our comments tonight, we do appreciate it. Honestly, it means the world to us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for all the comments, man. Comments were sensational tonight. Wait.
What'd you say?
Go.
You're up, man.
Oh, me. Okay. I thought you said Quentin, and then you put a.
Did I say Quentin?
No, you said Shane, but I could understand.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll echo what Ryan said. It was a fantastic season. Eagles are going to be a very good team next year, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and the offseason is going to be a lot of fun as well. A lot of draft capital. It's going to make it a lot of fun. A lot of things going to be changing in free agency, so I'm excited to follow along all of that. As for plugs, I've got a video that's coming out as soon as I can finish editing it, so maybe tomorrow. I'm going to kick off draft season by a look back at my 2022 draft board and
Nice.
talking about some of the guys that I was most right about. So I've got a video about the 7 guys I was most right about in the 2022 draft. I'm going to kind of use that to kick off my draft coverage for this year. So you can be looking for that. I'll cut it up and put it on Twitter, but no Eagles in there, but some guys that were some of my guys that turned out to be pretty good. And maybe I'll get around to making the video about the guys I was wrong about. We'll see. Probably not.
Yeah, so here we are. It is bittersweet. Covering the draft was about 60% of what I do here on YouTube. It's now getting probably bumped up to like 90%. So if you've watched any of my videos, thank you. Right before we went live, part 4 of my 5 underrated prospect video just went live. I've been covering my favorite underrated guys up until we hit the combine, which is in about a few weeks. So there'll be a lot of content covering the NFL combine. But if you're looking for anything NFL draft, I've covered every single position, top 10s, boomer busts, you name it. It's all there. Senior Bowl winners, Senior Bowl on offense and defense winners. So, Ryan, I can't wait to do more mock drafts as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot changing. This is not the best draft overall, but the good news for Eagles fans is that the strengths of this draft in terms of depth fit a lot of their needs. So that we'll be breaking that down like crazy. So again, thank you to everybody who commented here tonight during this show. My man down there at Philly Sports Alliance. Let me get rid of that comment. There it is, at Philly Sports PSA. Go check them out. Facebook, Twitter, you name it. My man over there, Shane at _TPL, one of the best Twitter follows, period. If you love the Eagles and the NFL, he is the host of Chalk Talk, one of the best general NFL shows there is, period. And I'm Dibes. So for Shane, for Ryan, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time on Birds of the Round Table. Stay awesome, everyone.
Go Birds.